together.
We are right together, Nigel. It is true.
Yeah. Yes.
I just started my Sonic stream attached to the NFT token that I created with you, myself, Ted, and Gabe. And so here we are. We are live broadcasting to voice devices like the Amazon Echoes and social media sites like YouTube. And I'm ready for this interview question, Nigel, about family and vision.
I'm looking forward to this one as well. It's always good to hear your insight as much as I see you with your boys and doing the thing. And thanks for that imagery down by the pier.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm a West Side.
There they are.
Hey,
there they are.
Look. What's poppin', fellas?
They're totally having their morning routine. Adults, we have coffee. My boys have Minecraft. I'm pretty sure it does pretty much the same thing. Dopamine firing off, serotonin, endorphins, all the good feelings.
Yeah, we don't know how good we have it when we have it. When we have it at that point, then we settle for coffee. Really, that's kind of what it is.
I know.
Youth wasted on the young. I never understood it when I was young, but I get it now. I get it.
That's right.
Yes, Mom, Dad, you were right. Yep. Okay, Ian, my friend, let's dig right in. So, I'm looking for profoundness coming my way. I'm ready to receive it. Okay, so I'm putting pressure on. So, if you had one message or a message or multiple messages that you wanted to get out to 1 billion people that said everything that you've learned, embodied from your parents, from everybody who's contributed to the consciousness that's in about family, what would that message be? And I'm going to be very specific here. What would be the intent of the message? What were you trying to convey, even more so than the words you would use? How you would choose, to do it, voice, written, whatever the case may be, and how would it be displayed? How would it be performed, so to speak? So the intent, what it would be, and how it would be displayed or presented or performed.
I think I communicate this not in English, to be honest with you. I'd use the language I'm most fluent in. I'd grunt. I'd give like a good, solid, earthy to communicate my vision about family. I have thought about the question. So what I thought about was, is there any message I'd want to share on family that I'd be willing to make a massive sacrifice for? Like, is there a message so important to me I'd be willing to die for it? Or is a message so important to me I'd be willing to go to prison for it? Or I'd be willing to give up everything for it, to start at zero, or to be $100 million in debt and have to crawl my way out of the debt. Like, is there a message that's that important to me? Because it's really easy to throw out statements of like, if I could tell 1 billion people something, I'd tell them this. But what I keep asking myself is, well, would I say that if it meant the greatest of sacrifice? Because if not, then does that message really matter? So I think where I landed is that I'm not really sure how to say it, but it's something like this. The greatest model for family is the model that Jesus had with the creator that he called Daddy. It's also the most difficult model because it's so spiritual by nature. The reason why that is the message I communicate on vision is that I think oftentimes we look at our parents or our children or our friends' parents or friends' children, we look at family dynamics, and because humans are beautiful and wonderful and fantastic, but we are also prone to causing hurt and hardship toward one another. That breaks down models and truths. One of the things that's so unique about what we understand of the story of Jesus from 2,000 years ago is he was a son that never was in conflict with his father, the creator of all things. And the father was never really in conflict with the son. That there was like this beautiful communication, even when there was things like Jesus being in the garden and saying, is there any other way? Where there's like this tension, there still is like this dance. And so I feel like you could even take it to say that the spiritual nature of a spiritual approach to family would also be of high regard. One of the issues I have is I don't know if there's any standard family vision that I'm willing to die for or I'm willing to sacrifice for. But if I could get people to wrap their head around the creator as a father and all of us as children and the model by which Jesus and the creator had in a father-son dynamic, or the model that you could see in other dynamics where it was spiritual by nature, the approach to family, I think that would be a vision that I'd make an ultimate sacrifice for. And it's not a vision that's tied to theology or methodology or a certain belief system. It's the example that is there before us. So hopefully that gives you a little insight in terms of what's inside my head as I'm thinking about vision and family. If I wasn't going to go spiritual, then I would likely approach my vision, my family vision, in this way, and I do it in these formats. I would say to the world, put your family first and yourself last. People may hear that the wrong way. I don't really care if they hear it the wrong way. What I'm saying is take the lowly position. Put your family on your shoulders. Make a way for them. Provide for them. If at all possible, do what you can to be the greatest servant in your family. That would be my primary thing if I wasn't going to say something spiritual by nature in terms of family. Because when people approach family to serve one another, to make a meal for each other, to do each other's dishes, to wash each other's cars, to send each other to a special thing, to do it, anything that's of service, it just is so healthy for a family dynamic. So that is a big part of what I've been thinking. How would I say the message? Just on a billboard, serve your family. And video, I'd probably grab my parents and my kids, and we would talk really quickly about the most impactful way that we've experienced service in our family dynamic. So I know it's a little scattered, but it's a pretty significant thing. When I started asking myself, would I be willing to die for this message? Then I'm like, scrap that. That's no. So trying to think that through.
Okay, so I'm gonna jump in here because I've been listening most attentively, and I'm gonna give you some flowers right now. This just kept getting better. You know, Gabe started off with his
You are the mold.
Yeah, he came with that energy, and then Ted, followed it up with his usual impassioned way, and then I gave my little my poetry spin on it, and that was fine. But man, you wow, I have to say you came with this one. You came. I don't know how long you've been preparing this one, and I'm not exaggerating here. I was so moved by this that I actually want to write something deeper based on what I'm about to tell you, which is going to be the subject of it, based on what you said. I got it. I received it. It resonated. And here's what I think in a nutshell, everything you said, comes down to. Do it in spite of. Do it in spite of. You think from the very beginning, and it's something, I say in a much longer, drawn out sort of way, the gift is in the giving, the reciprocity is in the recipient paying it forward. Yeah. Don't think about what you're doing. Think about the impact it can make. And you said it from the beginning. What can I do that would be worth this? Yeah. What can I say that can be worth going to jail, losing money, losing my life? Like all those things, do it in spite of. And it's the thing that we don't do enough of because it rises to that level. And it's the things that make the most impact. Yeah. If you figure how people's lives don't get to change trajectory because they're not supported, because one thing happens and someone makes that judgment and thinks it's one way and doesn't give that added in spite of. So I would love to, write and credit something, do it in spite of. Yeah. Not just do it in spite of. So Nike, touche to you. Do it in spite of. That's what I got from that. But I really appreciate that. That was profound. You came with that one. So yes. Love it.
I love all that we shared. That's right. Well, Ted and Gabe, why don't you jump back on? I have Landrew in the waiting room. So I think we're going to wrap up our live stream so we can let Landrew in and catch up with him for a moment. Any final thoughts, Gabe or Ted?